Okay, so Zoe prayed the same prayer every single night for 5 years. 5 years. And God answered it, but not the way she expected. He answered it with 6 signs. 6 specific signs that showed her exactly who her soulmate was. And the crazy part? She had actually prayed for every single one of them and completely forgot. Now here is the thing. Most people miss these signs. They walk right past them, they settle for the wrong person, or they give up entirely because they think God isn't listening. But Zoe didn't miss them. She figured them out one by one, like unlocking levels, and by the time she got to sign 6, she already knew. So I'm going to tell you her whole story. Every sign, every moment, every prayer that got answered. And by the end of this, you are going to want to go back and rethink every relationship you have ever been in. But before we continue, hit that subscribe button. Like the video and comment telling us where you're watching from. Your thoughts matter. All right, let's go from the beginning. Zoe is 27, lives in Atlanta, Georgia, works as a graphic designer at this small creative agency downtown. And every single night before she goes to bed, she kneels by her window. Doesn't matter how tired she is. And she prays the same prayer she has been praying since she was like 22. God, if there's a man you have chosen for me, please make it clear when I find him. That's it. Same prayer, every night, for 5 years. Now, Zoe is not the kind of girl who is desperate or clingy or obsessed with being in a relationship. No, she is the kind of girl who has her life together. She goes to church, she has her girls, she works hard, she minds her business. But deep down, in that quiet place she doesn't show everybody, she wants what God promised. She wants a love that is real, a love that lasts, a love that God actually ordained. The problem? She kept picking the wrong ones. There was Marcus first, fine, charming, knew exactly what to say. But the moment she got serious about her faith, started going to church more, fasting, really pursuing God, Marcus got weird about it. Started making little comments. You're too religious. Why do you have to pray before everything? Little by little, she noticed that being with Marcus was pulling her away from God instead of toward him. She ended it. It hurt, but she knew. Then there was Deshaun. Deshaun was fun. Lord, that man was fun. But fun does not pay the bills, and fun does not hold you when life gets hard, and fun does not build anything that lasts. Their whole relationship was just noise, arguments, misunderstandings, drama. Every time she was around him, she felt this anxious, unsettled energy in her chest that never went away. She ended that too. Then came Jordan. Jordan was the one that almost got her, because Jordan looked perfect on paper, went to church, said the right scriptures. Met her parents. But something in her spirit just would not settle. She could not explain it. She just always felt like she was waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like something was off, but she couldn't name it. She broke it off with Jordan, and her mom almost didn't speak to her for 2 weeks. After that, Zoe took herself out of the game completely. She told her best friend Keisha, "I'm not doing this anymore. I'm giving my heart back to God and letting him hold it." Keisha looked at her and said, "Girl, you need therapy, not a testimony." Zoe laughed. But she meant every word. So fast forward to a Sunday morning in October. Zoe is at her church in Atlanta, New Life Fellowship, you know the type. Lively worship, good word, strong community. She's sitting in her usual spot, 3rd row from the left, minding her business. And that's when she sees him. Standing near the side entrance is this guy. Average height, nice build, not trying too hard with the outfit, just clean put together. And he's worshiping, like really worshiping. Eyes closed, hand raised slightly, completely in his own world with God. Not performing for anybody. Zoe notices him. Doesn't talk to herself about it, doesn't read into it, just notices. His name, she would find out later, was Caleb. A few weeks later, their church launched a new small group, a midweek Bible study for young adults. Zoe signed up because she wanted to grow. Caleb signed up because he had just moved to Atlanta from Charlotte and was trying to find community. They ended up at the same table, and that is where the sign started. Sign 1, the spiritual connection. So in the very first session, the group is discussing relationships and faith. The leader asks, what does it look like when God is actually at the center of a relationship? Most people gave church answers. You know the kind. Rehearsed, safe, sounds good, but doesn't really say much. Then Caleb spoke. He said, honestly, I think the sign that God is in something is that both people are running toward God, not just alongside each other. Because if you're both moving toward him, you naturally move toward each other too. The room got a little quiet. Zoe wrote that down in her journal that same night. Not because she was trying to catch feelings, but because she had been thinking that exact thought for months and had never heard anyone else say it out loud. She had prayed for a man who would push her closer to God, not pull her away. Every man before Caleb had pulled, even without meaning to, but something about this one felt different. That was sign 1, the spiritual connection, and she filed it away quietly in her heart. Sign 2, the peace. Over the next few weeks, they started talking more. After Bible study, during the group chat, occasionally over coffee when a few people from the group would go out together, and Zoe kept waiting for the anxiety to show up. Because it always showed up. With Marcus, with Deshaun, with Jordan, there was always this low hum of nervousness, this constant second guessing, this feeling of, am I enough? Is he interested? What does that text mean? Why hasn't he called? With Caleb, it just wasn't there. She could be quiet around him without it feeling weird. She could say something vulnerable and not immediately regret it. She could disagree with him on something and he would lean in and actually engage with her perspective instead of shutting down. One night she was driving home from a group hangout and she realized she was smiling and she didn't even know why. Not giddy, not crazy, just peaceful. She said out loud to herself in the car, God, is this what it's supposed to feel like? Because it didn't feel like the relationship she had been in before. It felt like stillness. Like the difference between a pot of water that's been boiling and one that's just warm and steady. She remembered what she'd read once, that God is not the author of confusion. And she thought about how much confusion had been present in every relationship before this one. This was sign 2, the peace, and it was so quiet she almost missed it. But that's the thing about peace, it doesn't announce itself. You just notice one day that the noise is gone. Sign 3, the shared values. It was a random Tuesday when they ended up staying late after Bible study helping the host clean up. Just the two of them. They got to talking, really talking. About life, about purpose, about what they both wanted to build. Caleb told her he was in Atlanta because he had taken a job with a nonprofit that provided financial literacy programs to underserved communities. He said he didn't take the job for the money. He took it because he felt called to it. Zoe put down the paper plates she was collecting and just looked at him. 3 years earlier, she had written in her journal. She still has this journal, by the way. She writes everything down. She had written, God, send me someone with a heart for service. Someone who doesn't just go to church, but actually lives it out. She had prayed that prayer and then honestly kind of forgot about it. Moved on. Started to wonder if she was asking for too much. God had not forgotten. She went home that night and dug out that old journal and found the entry and sat on her bathroom floor and just cried. Happy tears. Overwhelmed tears. The kind you cry when you suddenly realize God was listening the whole time you thought he was silent. This was sign 3. The shared values and purpose. They were walking in the same direction, spiritually, morally, in terms of what they wanted their lives to mean. And Zoe knew from the Bible that two people cannot walk together unless they agree. She and Caleb didn't have to work hard to agree. They just did. Sign 4, the answered prayer. Now this one is wild, and Zoe still talks about this whenever she tells the story. She had a list. Don't judge her. A lot of us have a list. But Zoe's list wasn't about looks or money or status. It was specific prayers she had brought before God. Specific qualities she had asked him for. She had prayed for someone patient, someone who doesn't erupt when things get tense. She had prayed for someone kind, not just nice, but genuinely, consistently kind. The kind of kind that shows up when nobody is watching. She had prayed for someone who would pray with her, not just say they're a Christian, but actually get on their knees and pray. One evening, Zoe got some really bad news. A project at work had fallen apart, and her boss was not happy, and she was sitting in the parking lot of her job trying not to cry. She texted Caleb. They were friends at this point, nothing official, and he called her within 2 minutes. He didn't try to fix it. He didn't give her a motivational speech. He said, "Can I pray with you right now?" Right there over the phone, in her car, in that parking lot, he prayed for her. A real prayer. The kind that sounds like a real person actually talking to God, not a performance. She sat there after he hung up and thought about her list. Patient. Check. Kind. Check. Prays with her. Check. This was sign 4, the answered prayers. The moment you realize the specific things you ask God for are somehow standing right in front of you. Sign 5, the support in trials. January hit Zoe hard. She lost that job she'd been at for 4 years. Downsizing. Her whole team got let go. She went from having her life somewhat figured out to updating her resume at 27 and trying not to spiral. And this is where you find out who someone really is. Because a lot of people are around when things are good. Not everybody stays when things fall apart. Caleb stayed. He didn't make her feel like a burden. He didn't disappear because the situation was uncomfortable. He showed up not in a grand dramatic way, but in the consistent, quiet ways that actually matter. Checking in, sending her job listings without making it feel patronizing, coming over with food on the night she was too drained to cook, sitting with her in the hard silence when there was nothing to say. One night she broke down completely, and he just sat beside her and said, "You're not going through this alone. I'm not going anywhere." She thought about the scripture she had memorized years ago. Two are better than one, because if one falls, the other can help them up. She had read that verse so many times, but she had never had someone actually be that for her until now. This was sign 5, the support in trials. The person God has for you doesn't run from your storms. They stand in them with you. And that right there, that is one of the clearest signs of all. Sign 6, the confirmation. Now Zoe is smart. She knows her own feelings can deceive her. She has been fooled before by her feelings, so she didn't just trust herself on this one. Keisha was the first one to say something. They were at brunch on a Saturday. You know how Keisha is, she doesn't sugarcoat anything. And Keisha put her fork down and said, "Zoe, I have been your best friend for 11 years. I watched you with Marcus, and I watched you with Deshaun, and I watched you with Jordan. And I am telling you right now, as someone who loves you, this is different. You were different when you were around this man. You are more yourself. You are lighter. I don't know how else to say it. You just make sense together." Then Zoe's mom met Caleb at a church event. Now her mom is the kind of woman who smiles at your face and tells you the truth later. So Zoe was nervous. But after the event, her mom called her that night and said, "Baby, where did that young man come from? He has something about him, something settled. You hold on to that one." And her mentor from church, a woman named Sister Patricia, who has been married for 38 years and does not play when it comes to discernment, pulled Zoe aside one Sunday and said quietly, "God told me to tell you not to overthink this." 3 different people, 3 different confirmations, none of them talking to each other. This was sign 6, the confirmation through others. When the godly people in your life, the ones who know you, love you, and have nothing to gain from lying to you, all say the same thing, you pay attention. So there Zoe is. 6 signs. Unlocked one by one like she was walking through something God had designed specifically for her. The spiritual connection, the peace, the shared values, the answered prayers, the support in trials, the confirmation from others. She had prayed for all of it. She had waited for all of it. And God had delivered, not on her timeline, not in the way she expected, but completely and undeniably. It was a Sunday evening in April. They were walking through Piedmont Park in Atlanta, one of those perfect spring evenings where everything feels possible. They stopped near the lake and Caleb turned to her and said, "Zoe, I want to ask you something. But before I do, I need you to know that I already prayed about this. And I believe God said yes. So I'm just asking you to agree with him." She laughed. She actually laughed. Because only God could send her a man who proposed by saying, "I already asked God and he said yes. I'm just coming to you for confirmation." She said yes before he even finished the sentence. And look, they are not perfect. Their relationship is not a fairy tale. They have disagreements. They have hard days. Life is still life. But here's what Zoe always says when she tells this story. "I used to think finding the right person would feel like fireworks, but it didn't. It felt like peace. It felt like a prayer I had almost forgotten I prayed. It felt like God saying, 'I heard you, I had you, I never let go.'" She prayed for 5 years beside that window. God answered with 6 signs. And when he did, she didn't have to chase it, force it, or wonder if she was imagining it. She just knew. And deep in the place where peace lives, she had known for a while. If you are waiting right now, waiting and wondering and maybe even doubting, just know that God has not forgotten your prayer either. He is still working. He is still preparing. And when the right one comes, he will make it clear. Not always with fireworks. Sometimes just with peace. Trust the process. Trust the signs. Trust him.